V1. Rotate.
Welcome back to the flight deck. We're just about crossed the English Channel, and according to the map, that landmass ahead of us is a town in France called Villette-sur-Mer. So that's nice to know. Can't land there, won't go there, but hey, that's what we're over flying. The winds are pretty... actually, the weather, rather, is pretty stable at our destination in Sion. We've got winds 250 at 11. There's a runway 25, we'll get to that in a bit, so we'll take that. A few clouds at 10,000. The altimeter is, the QNH rather, 1018 hectopascals, 10 miles plus of visibility, temperature's 20, and dew point is 6. Getting back to that all-important runway 25, so we have our flight plan in, which brings us, our last waypoint is Sosal. This, we will format, there we go. So Sosal LSGS is just to the southeast. We can go ahead and stick in our arrival, which will be on runway 25. Let's see if we can toss this over a little bit so we can get a little bit more. There we go. Enter. We want the Vaden 1 November arrival, and we want the G25 IGS 2 from Rana. Stick that in the flight plan. There are a couple of things we will have to delete. So if we go back far enough, Lurko, Molus, Sosal, that's all good. We want to get rid of Vadar, which is the first waypoint. The second waypoint is Sosal anyways. So we can go ahead and do that and do that. So, get rid of the no-link. So we're going from Sosal to Grana, which is just outside the field, northeast of the field. And then we begin our outbound. Let's see if I can tighten this up a little bit. From Grana, we are going to follow the RNAV outbound, like so. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Here we go. We're coming down here, around, up here, and then making our final offset approach. We do have some altitude constraints, 17,000 or above at Mesav. I want to be at 16,000. The transition altitude, by the way, is 17,000. I want to be at 16,000 by Aleto. That's where we're going to get some sort of a vertical profile from the ILS system, the offset ILS system. So we can plan our VNAV. We want to be at where was it? Aleto, 18. No offset at 16,000. We'll plan our shallow descent, 1,800 feet per minute. B2. Do that. So we are 385 nautical miles from descent. I just wanted to get an accurate marker for our descent point, get set up nice and early. I don't think we're going to be deviating from our plan of arriving on runway 25. The weather looks pretty stable and quite nice, actually. Just wanted to get that all-important top of descent marker. So if we go through our flight plan, we can scroll through like so, and we should have the top of descent somewhere in here, if I can find it. Why did I do that? Let's say in the FMS, Lusar, Sony, Loco, Molus, Sosal, Rana. Maybe it's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so we've got it here. Our top of descent is going to be at GS Golf Sierra 601, and then we'll start descending from yeah, I should have figured as much. We're only at flight level 230. So we only have, 4 plus 3 is 7,000 feet to lose before we get to Aleto. And then we can tune the ILS which, if I go over to my charts, the frequency is 110.7. So we'll plug that in. We'll actually do this. And 110.7, like so. And 110.7, like so. We're still on Unicom. Still no ATC. Wien Radar was on. Wien Radar? I'm not sure. They were on, they actually still are on. Unfortunately, that's not where we're headed. We're going, we'll be down west of that, so not quite in their territory. Hoping for Switzerland FIR, but we'll see how it goes. At least we're making that first step onto Vatsim. The course for this ILS will be format. Hold it down. 246 is the inbound, so we'll go ahead and dial that in. FMS 246. Where's that? There we go. 2, 4, 4, 5, 6. Do that on the captain's side. Excuse me, Captain. Like so. And 2, 4, 6. Like so. That. We're not getting any lateral guidance this time. As expected, we are still 300 and some odd nautical miles from our 300, almost 400 nautical miles from our top of descent and pretty much our destination. It's clouding over down there, which is fine with me because we're above that. It doesn't really affect us. It does look kind of nice though. Cloud cover. We'll see what it looks like. It's supposed to be relatively clear over in Sion, so I'm not too worried. We just have to nail the configuration very early, nail the speeds. I've looked up our speeds. Speaking of, our VIA ref is going to be 116, RV approach 121. I've added 5 knots. That's my comfort zone. I don't want to be much lower than 116, even at flaps 35. I don't want to be much higher than 121. It's a relatively short runway. It's high up in the mountains, so we'll try to not float down, but we're going to plant it on the ground, much to the chagrin of our passengers, but they're used to it flying with me by now, so it's all good. Everything's pretty much just monitoring the frequency, wow, the instruments, just basically counting down that timer to top of descent. I'll leave you back with a little bit more cinematics, and if anything exciting happens, such as maybe some ATC, or some buffeting, or an engine fire, I'm knocking on wood as we speak, but something interesting like that, I'll bring you back, and we'll talk about it, and we'll go through it. Alright, be with you in a bit. Welcome back to the flight deck. We are overflying the field right there. And approaching our outbound leg for this RNAV approach. As I said earlier, we are going to get set up nice and early. Complicated steep approach. 6 degrees on the approach vertical profile. So we're coming up to Grana, and then we're headed out here outbound. Our top of descent is just about 3/4 of the way out on our outbound leg. Let's zoom out here a little bit. Yeah, about 2/3 of our way outbound. So we're going to be leaving flight level 230 and then down to 16,000 feet, so on the local QNH, which hasn't changed, I don't believe. 1018, weather hasn't really changed much, just at a quick glance, temperatures 20 degrees, surface winds 250 at 13, 10 plus statute miles of visibility, so once we get below these clouds, visibility won't be an issue. No precipitation. And that's about it. So the weather's good. We're starting our outbound turn. Switzerland is absolutely gorgeous. I've been there in real life. Definitely need to go back. We got our VNAV profile here up, so we can start dialing down the altitude to our target, which is 16,000. Alt cell. We'll go ahead and arm VNAV. That'll pick up once we overfly the top of descent. Tighten that up a little bit. Go ahead and do that on the captain's side as well. Terrain radar definitely going to be a factor in this. We have our GPWS landing flap set to 35. I'll run through the approach or the descent and approach checklists. Like I said, getting this done nice and early. Descent checklist is as follows. Pressurization is set. We have our landing altitude set. GPWS flaps is as required, so that's at 35. Briefing. So we're on the outbound leg. We'll be descending down to 16,000 feet on the local QNH. And from there, we will pick up the glide, which is a steep glide. We'll try to get configured by the end of this I guess you want to call it the downwind leg, and then as we turn final, I want to be pretty much fully configured at the about 120 knots, take it nice and slow all the way down to the field. That is the briefing completed. Approach checklist. Altimeters, we'll set the QNH in just a second as we start our descent. Fuel transfer is off. Fuel pumps can come on. Auto feather can come on. Standby hydraulics can come back on. Passenger signs. We'll get everybody seated. There we go. The caution panel is black, and the cabin, well, we'll wait for the report that it is secure. Look at these mountains. I was reading the approach charts, and special training is required for this approach into Sion. I don't have any training, so this is definitely going to be fun. Okay, here comes the VNAV profile. We'll start bringing the power back so we don't overspeed. Like so. We can set the local QNH, which is 1018. There we are. And we're heading down to 16,000 feet. I've begun to slow the aircraft, so we've pulled the power back. We're not going to mess around with a reduced NP landing today. We're going to whack the props all the way up to full. I don't want to take any chances. We can bring the bleeds back down to min. Let's go ahead and do that. The lights, we can put on the landing lights a little bit early, but I'd rather do that early than late. A little bit above our profile here. We'll bring the speed back down, and it's catching back up to us. Everything's looking good on that front. Sync up the headings again. I'm going to go ahead and turn the captain's side over to the... Oops, that was the course. Nope, I want the nav source. Bring the nav source. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. Bring the nav source over to the ILS, which is 246. Now I have a doubt. Hang on. That was vpilot. Still no ATC. 246 was the inbound course. So we are getting lateral guidance from that as we begin our final turn. Keeping an eye on the speed. Still doing 240 knots. We're going to bring the power back just a little bit more. Trim it out in a second. We are getting a vertical profile as well. We are below that. That's what I like to see. And here comes the final turn to the inbound course. So go ahead and sync up the headings. Like I said, I've done this approach. I did it in the 7.3, which I'm way more comfortable in. Never the dash. Those mountains are getting close. Okay, so we overshot the turn there. I'm assuming we were meant to be slower. Go ahead and bring it back. Go to full-on heading mode now. Heading. And we will pitch it over a little bit. Get that descent coming. And the aircraft has started to pitch the wrong way. I'm taking manual control. Do this the fun way. Sorry about that, passengers. This is not what I had in mind. Let's get the FO side over to the ILS. A little bit early for this, but it's a nice day. We have good visibility. We're swinging it back around on course. Just gotta watch our altitude there. Coming down quite fast. I don't want to miss that 16,000 at Ilesa. There's our 1,000 to go. Start pulling back a little bit on that descent. Swinging it back around to Ilesa. The Dash and I have a love-hate relationship. I mean, I'm excited. I'm glad we're flying this, but I also kind of can't wait to get back into the tube liners. The jet-propelled tube liners, that is. Okay, so we're back on our inbound course. We can continue past 16,000 at this point. We've got the glide. We're coming back around on the lateral navigation. We're a little bit low. I don't like to be low around these mountains, but we're visual with them, so that's fine with me. Start our left-hand turn here. Speed's coming back. We can start adding up some flaps. I want it to be configured a little bit earlier, but we're looking good here. I'm happy. We'll go ahead and sync up the heading. Not that the autopilot has done me any favors today. Speed's coming back nicely. Here comes the vertical profile. We'll bring this up so that we can keep a better eye on it. Keep that descent coming. So we've got flaps 5. We'll go ahead and bring the gear out. And we've overshot just a little bit. That's fine. Flaps down to 10. Add a little bit of power. We don't want to slow too fast. Descent's looking good though. Come back on profile. It's it's an interesting approach. We're coming in this little valley here. The field's going to be coming up at our 12 o'clock. We're kind of flying offset to the actual runway heading for now. And then as we get closer down, we will make a sort of like a about 10-15 degree right turn to final, on short final, and then bring it in for a landing. Speed's looking good. Keep that coming back a little bit. I want to slow down quite a bit and quite early. By the way, if you can hear the music in the background, I think I broke the announcements by turning those off earlier. I usually add them in post. Trade secret. Now you know. So that's the boarding music playing in the background. It's fine. A little bit of calming music to relax me. Alright, so we're on the vertical profile. A little bit low, but that's totally fine. We'll ease it back over to the left a little bit as we're catching back up to the lateral navigation. So we'll start this gentle left turn here. Speed's 145. We'll bring out flaps 15. Continue to bring back that speed. There's one thing to be said about the dash is on the approach, it's nice and slow. You have plenty of time to keep prepared and to make visual contact with the runway and to get things under control. So I'm just trimming it out a little bit here. Trimming it for our descent. As I mentioned in the previous episode, that's another thing about the dash is if you pull back on the power far enough, this thing drops out of the sky like a rock. So we really don't have to worry about this steep approach as much as we would in, say, an Airbus or a 737. Definitely more challenging in terms of speed management and energy management on the way down in those aircraft. So we're still a little bit to the left of our intended path. I'm just going to shimmy us over to the right a little bit. I think I have the field in sight down there in the valley, but we won't rely on that just yet. Beautiful weather, no clouds, so we're good here. Speed's coming down to our final approach speed. Bring out flaps 35. I'm happy with this. I was hoping to keep it on the autopilot just a little bit longer so I could go through the final checklists if required. Oh, speed's coming down just a little too far. That's okay. Very forgiving in terms of that for the Dash 8. We're still a rookie. I'm still a rookie at this airplane, even though I've had it for a year. It's been an in and out of my hangar. Like I said, love-hate relationship. A lot of fun to fly, very difficult to get it just right. But that's what makes it fun. And recording at the same time is definitely a new challenge. So speed's coming back up. We set 116, that's what we're at. Now we're a little bit high, so I'm trying to use a little bit of trim, down trim, to keep that descent coming. The aircraft is also constantly trying to roll me over to the left due to those large engines spinning the same direction. Okay, now we're definitely a little bit high, but like I said, in this aircraft, that's very, very, very easy to correct. I'm gonna pull back my view a little bit so I have a better overall picture. Field should be in that valley just up ahead. Still a little bit high. Definitely going to have to increase our descent rate. Pull back on the throttles a little bit. And then back. This is pretty much what happened on my last approach when we did the group flight. As I mentioned, we did this last week. The group flight to Sion. I was high and fast. And in the 737, that's definitely a bigger problem than it is in the Dash. Okay, now we've lost vertical guidance completely. I'm assuming this descent rate is meant to be quite a bit more. And we have fireworks. I set the date to, I think it's August 1st or something like that. Just because this scenery comes with fireworks. And I think they display for, I think it's some Swiss holiday. Correct me in the comments, sorry. Sorry, Swiss people. That and New Year's or Christmas, one of those two. So I thought, why not? Let's have some fireworks, an extra distraction while we shoot our approach. So we are definitely coming down like a rock, but we are catching up to that vertical profile. Speed is pretty much bang on. I'm happy with that. Lateral guidance is bang on. I've got the PAPI lights. Not sure what this field has in terms of approach lights, but I guess we'll see that as we get closer. Here comes that vertical profile back. We got this under control. That is checked. That was our, we're past our MDA now, but we are visual, so that is just fine. Still no ATC, by the way, and I'm monitoring the messages in vPilot. I haven't transmitted too much, but there's nobody around. Speed's getting a little low. We'll add some power. God, this is close to mountains. I've mentioned this many times, I'm not a real pilot, so this is just for fun. But I can't imagine the stress of doing this in real life. Mind you, in real life, they wouldn't have distracting fireworks now, would they? So we're still a little bit high. It's okay. Bring the power back a little bit. Pitch it down. We are visual. Close to that mountain, but we've cleared it, so that's fine. Completely lost vertical guidance. Again, we're visual. I'm not too worried about it.
Plus 100.
Check.
Minimums. Minimums.
Continue. Get that speed under control. Make this final turn. This is looking good, guys. And girls, pilots, pilotesses.
Light slow.
Short final. As I said, we're not going to be messing around with trying to grease it in any way, shape, or form. A little bit high, that's fine.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Whew! Welcome to Sion. As we slide over to the right, keep it on the center line. There we go. No braking required. Okay, some braking required. Definitely some amount of braking. That was fun. Vacate over here to the left. And if I remember correctly, this is first and foremost a military base. So we are allowed to vacate here on the left. And we can taxi down this taxiway whose name I am forgetting at the moment. But we have to cross the runway. The passenger terminal, or the civilian terminal, is over there on the other side of the runway. So what we're going to do is we're going to taxi down here to, I think it's the second intersection, then cross the runway, and then park up at a stand of our choice. Those fireworks were a fun little surprise on final. So those can come off. This time I will not forget the flaps. I will not forget the gust lock. I will bring the prop RPM back. We can turn off the weather radar, which is here. That is now off. I don't think I turned the taxi light on. Nope, there we go. Turn off the pitot statics. And the boot air can come off of isolation. I think, no, it's the next one. Okay, so we're gonna go past here to the next intersection, cross the runway, leave the transponder on, just in case. I'll monitor TCAS, make sure nobody's coming in behind us. Quick look to the right. Almost said left. Quick look to the left. Nobody on TCAS. Let's go ahead and cross the runway. Yeah, that over there to the right of us is the military area of this airfield. So we definitely don't want to get mixed up with them. Not quite sure where to park. This field has some interesting parking locations. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer to what I assume is the passenger terminal over there to the right. Sorry about the abrupt head movements. I'm going to go ahead and start feather number 1. We will get that ready to be shut down almost immediately. Taxi on the right side, number 2 engine. Okay, so I had a look at the charts and they were of no help, but luckily GSX has found the one and only parking spot that can apparently accommodate us, which is on the other side over there, and the marshaller is not facing us. So what I think we have to do is get back onto the runway, backtrack, get back off the taxiway over there somewhere, and then park up. I'm gonna go ahead and turn number 1 off. Okay, so how am I meant to do this? Okay, so this is the lead-in line for stand 123 or something. I really hope I have wingtip clearance here. I don't know. Yeah, ish. Give it a shot. Okay. Switch power. Turn off the taxi light. I'm not going to cut the engines just yet. I'm coming into park. I am absolutely... Yeah, it wasn't a very good parking because I'm not parked yet. Have you guys... Have you chalked up the aircraft or anything? Why are you walking off? You know what? I guess we're parking here. Oh, no, wait, no. That's okay. Alright, let's... Okay, I got a little bit of control now. Aircraft is really sluggish. I have a feeling they... I don't know. Now, we swing it back over to the left. Or something. And we'll try this out for... Oh, man, I missed that line. You know what? That's okay. We're stopping here. Whew. So this can go to start feather. We can go ahead and fire up the old Apu. What else? Bus tie goes to tie. I'll bring up the checklist after landing. Control lock is on. Anti-call light is red. Flaps to 0. Weather radar standby. Fuel pumps can come off. Like so. The spoilers are in taxi. Ice protection is off. Main bus tie is tie. Yaw damper can come off. Like so. Parking brake is set. Do we have... We do have APU power. We can go ahead and shut down. Or 2. I'll turn TrackIR off. There we go. Go ahead and get rid of the anti-call light and release the passengers. Well, thank you for joining me, pilots and pilotesses, on another Flight Sim 008 adventure with Fly UK. And if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in future episodes, let me know in the comments. Now that we've made the transition to flying online, and I've gotten mostly comfortable with recording, flying, managing everything, I'm hoping to participate in some Vatsim events and really start nailing down some flight time. We're up to 3-ish hours now, and Class E Captain is right around the corner, so I think we're doing well. Until then, I wish you all blue skies, tailwinds, and I'll see you in the next episode.